Okay, so we're doing a new chapter. Chapter 3 is going to be parallel and perpendicular lines. So the relationships and what happens when we have parallel lines and perpendicular lines, okay? And it is 3.1 through 3.6. So we will do 3.1 through 3.4, then have a quiz, and then we'll do 3.5 and 3.6, and then we'll have a test, okay? So that's a general outline of the chapter, all right? Okay, so let's move on to 3.1, lines and angles. 3.1, lines and angles, and this is mostly review. Okay, we've done most of the stuff here, except for maybe a few new things, okay? So, parallel, perpendicular, and skew lines. So skew lines is probably the new thing for you guys. Parallel lines are obviously two lines that are parallel, and then you have perpendicular lines. Okay, so if you look at that middle of page 146, you have parallel lines are coplanar, which means that they're in the same plane and do not intersect. So in the figure that you're looking at, they're giving you AB and EF, or EG and FH. Okay. Then you have perpendicular lines that intersect at 90 degrees angle on the figure. So on the figure, it would be AB and AE because they're in the same plane. Okay, AB and AE. And then you have EG and GH. Okay. Skew lines are not coplanar, so they're not in the same plane. Okay, they're not in the same plane. They are not coplanar. Skew lines are not parallel and do not intersect in the figure AB and EG. So it's basically what you're looking at. You have a line that looks like this, and you have a line that's going down underneath here, okay? So they are not in the same plane, and they're not meeting together. And it's not really parallel, because to be parallel, it'd have to be like this. So they're like this. They're skewed, right? They're skewed, okay? So that's why they're called skewed lines, okay? Parallel lines are parallel planes are planes that do not intersect in the figure. So as you can see, the plane ABE, which is the top of that box, okay, and plane CDG, which is the bottom of that box. Those two planes, okay, that are top of the bottom are parallel because they're never going to meet with each other, right? So let's see if we can use these to do the example number one. Example number one, identify each of the following: a pair of parallel segments. Well, there are many of these you can find, right? So it'd be KNLM. The book has KNPS, MNSR, SRPQ, all kinds of them, right? B, pair of skew segments. It'll be MNQL, things like that, right? So here we have LM and RS. LM and RS. Okay, yeah, those are skew lines. Pair of perpendicular segments, all kinds of them. MN, LM.
Mr. Ron,
Yeah.
Max is in the waiting room.
Oh, he got kicked out. Thank you. Okay, and then you have pair of parallel planes. So rather than going through that, let me ask you this question. How many pairs of parallel planes are there? Can anybody tell me that? Jackson, how many pairs of parallel planes are there in example number one?
Are there 3?
There are 3, that is correct, right? Because on the sides, you're gonna have 2 that are going like this, and you can have things that are going like this, and then the top and the bottom, right? So you have 3 different pairs. Good job. All right, so let's move on to page 147. Angle pairs formed by a transversal. Okay, so you did this in mid-high math 2. I remember teaching this in pre-algebra. I don't know if you did it in algebra 1, but here we go. So you have 2 lines and you have a transversal line. So you have 2 lines here and you have a transversal. So this here is the transversal. This is a transversal line. It cuts it into okay. So this is probably different than what the book has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are switched. 7 and 8 are switched. Okay, so first of all, you have corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are angle 2 and 6, 4 and 8, 1 and 5, 3 and 7. They're corresponding. They're basically kind of on the same side of the lines, right? So here's the 2 lines, and then you cut it with this guy. So corresponding angle, number 1 and number 5, 8 and 4, 2 and 6, 7 and 3, okay? All right. Alternate interior angles. So interior meaning they are inside of the 2 lines. Interior, so they're interior, so it's between 3, 4, 5, and 6, okay? And they want the alternate interior, so it'll be 4 and 5, 3 and 6, 4 and 5, 3 and 6. Those are alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. Okay, earlier we talked about corresponding. Okay, so corresponding alternate interior, so alternate interior. Now we'll talk about alternate exterior. Okay, alternate exterior, again, now you have the 2 lines, so it's exterior, outside of that. So we have 2 and 7, 1 and 8, right? 2 and 7, 1 and 8, okay? Then you have the same side interior, same side interior. So they're interior, which means they are inside of the lines. Again, so we're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6, inside the line, same side. So it'll be 4 and 6, 3 and 5. Okay, all right. So those are the types. So yes, you will have to memorize or remember these again because they'll be on the test. Example number 2, classifying pair of angles. So given an example, so okay, so we're gonna have example number 2. Example number 2, give an example of each of the angle pair, and you have 2 lines here with a transversal. 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you have like that, 5, 6, 7, 8. A, corresponding angles. They have 4 and 8. Daniel, give me another different example of corresponding besides 4 and 8.
3 and 7.
3 and what?
7.
3 and 7, correct. All right. Ben, give me another different one. Okay, I can't hear you, Ben. Okay, we're having some technical difficulties with Ben here. So Bellin. Bellin?
Yes.
Corresponding angles.
Sorry, my internet's really bad, so I didn't catch what you said.
Okay. I'm asking you a set of corresponding angles here with the board, on the board.
4 and 8.
4 and 8. Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Moving on to the next one. We have alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. Kyla.
1 and 7.
It's alternate, well, we're gonna alternate interior. So we're inside.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That's okay. Alternate interior. What are they?
4 and 6.
4 and 6, correct. Very good. 4 and 6, or 3 and 5, correct? That'd be the other one, 3 and 5. Okay. Alternate exterior. Carter. Alternate exterior.
8 and 2.
8 and 2, correct. And the other one would be 1 and 7, right? Okay. All right. Last but not least, the same side interior angles. McKenna.
Wait, which ones?
Same side interior.
4 and 6.
4 and 5, same side.
Oh.
Side. 4 and 5, 3 and 6, okay? All right. Good. Let's move on. Example number 3. Now this one's a little trickier because it's the same thing, but the lines are drawn in a way that's a little confusing. So let's pay close attention here. Over here, we're gonna have basically something that looks like this. And we have M, N, and L. Okay, so A, identify, so they want us to identify the transversal and classify each angle pair. So 1 and 5. So 1 and 5, if you look at 1 and 5, okay, so this is basically, they are alternate interior angles because these two lines are the lines that were drawn. So L and M are the lines that are drawn, and N is the transversal. Okay, if you have a hard time seeing that, imagine if you would lift the L like this a little bit. So it actually had two lines like you had before. Okay, if you lifted the L up like this a little bit. Okay, all right. So if you look at that, it becomes a little easier to look. So that, because then it would look like this, right? You would have L and you would have M, right? And you had the transversal here, so 1, 2, 6, and 5, right? And they want to know what 1 and 5 are. So 1 and 5, since they are the interior, they're inside the two lines, okay? And they are alternate, so it'd be 1 and 5. It would be alternate interior angles, okay? Then you have 3 and 6, so 3 and 6. Again, 3 and 6 are created by, this is now the transversal. M is the transversal. So you have the two lines here. So again, if you have a hard time seeing this, if you try to think about moving this open a little like that, then it becomes a little easier. Then you can see that 3 and 6 are what? They are corresponding angles, right? Corresponding angles. Okay, and then you have 1 and 4, 1 and 4. 1 and 4, so the transversal would be L, 1 and 4, so they're all to their exterior because these are the two lines and this is the transversal, right? So they're the exterior and they're alternate exterior. Okay. Again, not that easy to see. All right, so we're done with 3.1. So we're ready to do the homework. And let me go ahead